Hello there. This is Away from the Game. This is a podcast from the City of Glasgow College, and we are going to be talking about professional footballers and ex professionals about their experiences on and off the pitch and the mental health repercussions from playing football professionally. I'm your host, Ruaridh. We have Shannon and Lewis behind the computers, and I'm with my special guest today, Gallagher Lennon. So, Gal, tell us about yourself.
Yep, so I've been playing professional football for the last 2 years now. When I was younger, I was kind of not really into football, but my family were always kind of into football. It's a big kind of influence in my family, and so as I got older and throughout school, I found a passion and a love for it, and that's kind of taken me to where I am today. So where we're speaking to you now.
Excellent, good to hear. Would you say there was any big footballers that inspired you?
Again, to be fair, there's a lot of footballers who kind of inspire you to get to the top level, because at any professional level in football, to get there is it's really impressive. But someone who probably stands out for me, again, it's going to be an obvious answer, mate, but something like Cristiano Ronaldo, because he was a young boy from Portugal. He came from absolutely nothing, and with a mind like his, he just decided to work so hard and get to a level now where they call him the best in the world. So I just think that's quite inspiring, and so I look up to somebody like him a lot.
I think that's a great choice. I was always a fan of Robert Van Persie. Me. So, you've had quite a career so far. You trained with, at the academy with Partick Thistle,
Yeah.
St Mirren, Bury Dumbarton.
Mm-hmm.
Those are very impressive for someone so young. What was it like at the academy at Partick Thistle?
Yeah, again, so I was around 15 at the time when I joined Partick's academy, and I'd been playing boys club for the last few years before that, and I felt like it was the kind of right step to try and get myself into academy football and try and push myself a bit further, and kind of see if I could deal with a higher level of quality. So eventually went to Partick. I started doing the training and stuff like that, and I noticed a bit of a difference in the level, which was only natural because, again, like I say, I'm training at a level and playing at a level before which wasn't as good as this. I was playing against better teams and training with better players, so but it took me a while to get going, but once I did get going, it turned out to be really good. I really enjoyed my time there. And yeah, there was a good bunch of boys, and yeah, like I say, it was just good to kind of test myself at a higher level and start kind of pushing my career forward.
Sounds like a great start then. Do you make any pals there? Any of them pros now as well?
Absolutely, proud to call him one of my best pals actually. His name's Ben Stanway. He now plays with Partick Thistle's first team. I'm in contact with Ben quite a lot, to be fair. Kind of most days, just checking up on him, see how he's doing. I'll give him kind of texts after training and see how he is, how he's feeling, and texting after games, whether it's a win or a loss, just to kind of be there for him. And like I say, I'll hang about with him away for football as well. So yeah, I would definitely say out of all the players, he's the one I've kind of stayed in contact the most with.
Great, good to hear. Shout out to Ben as well. So, we've kind of done some research as well, and it turns out less than 1% of players from football academies actually become professionals. How does that make you feel? Do you think there's something that needs to change at these football academies so players don't leave feeling like they're a failure in their eyes if they don't get on the top? What do you say to that?
It is very hard for young kids in academies now, because people tend to, especially in Scotland, the system's different to England and stuff like that. If you go down to England, for example, you get you work your way up from under 16s, to under 18s, and then you can get under 21s and under 23s, whereas here in Scotland, you're only getting academy from under 18s football and then to first team, so that's a big jump for young players. And I think, what tends to happen is a lot of players join the academies and, like you'd mentioned earlier, I was quite lucky to go out on loan and get some experience and playing proper men's football, which, a lot of kids at a young age struggle to do, is actually go out and play regularly in a men's team, and so therefore they tend to struggle with the you know, the speed and the physicality of, you know, professional football in Scotland. Hence why, you know, when it comes to a time when, you know, they're getting offered new contracts and they've not had that much experience, and, you know, they're looking at the amount of games that they've played, and, you know, they're not sure that they want to go forward with these types of players. And so I think that's why, you know, a lot of them kind of struggle to kind of progress, you know, whether it's not playing enough games, whether it's not being physically ready, whether it's kind of attitude problems. There's so many different factors that could contribute to why, you know, young players aren't progressing in the academies, you know.
So, you know, so many young people, so many like young guys, young girls, they're going in, and then if they're not in that 1%, like that's going to take a knock on you. That's you know, you've trained your whole life to be this football, and it doesn't turn out the way it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how would you tell someone how do you cope with news like that? You know.
Again, I've experienced something like that myself. You know, you come to the end of a stint at a club and you're not getting offered a new contract, and it's kind of in your mind straight away that kind of puts failure in your mind. That's the main thing that you think about. Is, you know, I've failed here. You know, that's my dream over. It's like I can't do this anymore. And that tends to be what happens. You know, a lot of players kind of come out of academy football, and because of the experience that they've had of, you know, the day-to-day life, sometimes people strive on it, people love it, but other young players tend to, you know, not enjoy it as much, you know, because of, you know, certain things that I'm sure that we'll talk about later. But what I would say is, like, when people come out of the academies, too many of them just kind of give up straight away. And, like, you know, I think that's the wrong kind of mentality to have. I think if it's a dream that you really, really want to pursue, you need to give it everything. It's an all or nothing mindset. It's 100% or 0%. You know, it can't be anything less than 100. So, you know, you've got to, like I say, you've got to give it everything you've got, because, like you say, it's such a small margin of, you know, such a small percentage of players that do make it to the top level. So what I like to do is, for example, for me, I like to kind of look at my day in the professional environment and I go, did I work hard enough? Is there people working hard? Am I getting up early enough? Am I eating the right things? Am I going to bed early enough? Am I recovering properly? Like, a lot of players don't tend to take their stuff seriously away from the pitch, but, you know, stuff off the pitch is just as important as what's going on the pitch.
That's some good advice there. There's a lot to think about as well. So, you trained with St Mirren, and then you played for Bonnyrigg.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk us through what one of your weeks had been like, training and playing for both of them?
Yeah, I actually remember one of the weeks in the schedule. It was kind of February time, so we're midway through the season here, and when you're on loan, especially in the lower leagues in Scotland, when it gets to kind of past Christmas time, a lot of games get called off in Scotland because of the weather and bad conditions. And so when you're meant to play on a Saturday, that game gets called off because the pitch isn't playable. But then they need to try and fit that fixture in at another part of the season.
Right.
So that means you call those kind of games in hand, basically. So what happens is you'll end up playing that game on a midweek night, probably a Tuesday, tends to be a Tuesday, and then you would play, you know, your normal fixture that would be on that following Saturday. So I remember this you know, specific week. I'd played on the Saturday, I had the Sunday off, and I was back at St Mirren on the Monday, just in for, you know, normal training week. But the problem was, it wasn't a normal week, because a normal week would be Saturday game and then next Saturday game, but this week was different because it was Saturday game, Tuesday game, and then our game the following Saturday. Yeah. So I'd been in on the Monday for like a kind of recovery session, because I'd played on the Saturday. This is now Monday, I've only played 2 days ago, and I need to play another 90 minutes on the Tuesday the next day. So I didn't do much on the Monday, and it came to the Tuesday. It turned out Bonnyrigg that day, we're playing Elgin City away. Now, I don't know if you know where Elgin is, but Elgin's a fair trek. That's maybe like, on a bus, you'd be like 4 hours up and 4 hours back. Honestly, mate, it's like needing to take everything, headphones for music, books, you need to download movies, all to just kind of, you know, pass the time, mate. So anyway, so I think I had to I can't remember what time the bus left at Glasgow, maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, to get up there for around about, 6:30, 7:15, and kick-off was at 7:45. So we ended up getting up there. Obviously, we've played the game. We've ended up getting beat 3-0, so that wasn't good. And I remember Bonnyrigg were quite good. My parents came to watch that night, so I didn't have to travel back on the bus. Bonnyrigg were quite good that way. I could travel back with my parents. And I remember I was texting the sports scientist at St Mirren in the car on the way back. This is us heading back now, so this is maybe 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. And bear in mind, we've got like a 4-hour journey to get back there, so I don't think I got back till 2 that night in the morning.
Jeez.
But I've been texting the sports scientist just to confirm, to be like, look, I'm assuming I've got the day off tomorrow, and I don't have to come into training.
Right,
Naturally, because I would be back again at Bonnyrigg on the Thursday night training, and St Mirren would be off in the day on the Thursday. So Wednesday, it would just be a full recovery day for me anyway. It'd be like a Sunday, so I wouldn't be able to do much anyway. So I'm thinking, right, surely I should get the day off. So I've given him a message, and he's come back to me and he said, no, you need to come in tomorrow for recovery. So in my mind, I'm thinking, for goodness sake. So I've got back at like I say, 2 o'clock in the morning. Barely got any sleep, maybe like 5 hours until I'm up again in the next morning. So I'm up the next morning again. I'm heading into training, and again it's good because St Mirren wasn't too far from my house. It was maybe only like 20 minutes to get in there. And I've come in, and I remember I was in the gym just doing a recovery session with the weights, and the sports scientist comes into the gym, and now the session was going on outside, the first team training session, and he's come in and he said, look, somebody's got injured. You're going to need to come and take part in training instead of this person. And I'm thinking, surely not. I've just played the 90 minutes the night before. I'm absolutely knackered. I've got home at like 2 in the morning. I've had to get up again at like 7 to 8 o'clock, come into training. I'm like, it's literally just as I've finished a set of bench press, I think. And I've come off and this guy's just standing in front of me. He's like, the sports scientist, he's like, look, I need you to come out now. And I'm like, so I've had to rush and get my boots on. More or less did the full session. And you should have seen everybody's reactions, like, well done, fair play to you. And I was like, yeah, no wonder they're saying that, because literally maybe like 12 hours prior, I was at the other end of the country playing a 90-minute game, and then now I'm back and forth, yeah. So, and then again, I don't think I got a day off that week apart from that Sunday, because again, I had to go to Bonnyrigg training on that Thursday night, and then I was training again on Friday with St Mirren. I had the Saturday game, and then I was off on the Sunday. So not all weeks were like that, because you wouldn't always have a game in hand, so you wouldn't have always 2 games a week. Sometimes it would only just be 1 game a week. But at that point in the season, when it's it's cold and you need to get up early in the morning and travel, and that can take a lot of toll on not just the body but on the mind as well, And that's not me complaining, because I'd like to think I've got the best job in the world. I'm enjoying myself playing football every day, but when it gets to that point, it can become tough, and it's not as football's not as should we say, kind of easy going, yeah, as people kind of decide to make it out to be, so
no, yeah. I couldn't imagine doing that, not to say I'm lazy, but
no, definitely. it's funny though, because a lot of people decide to say to me, especially when I was younger, oh, you're so lucky you're playing football, and you're so lucky you're playing in a professional environment. Well, that's easy for people from the outside to say, because they're working different jobs. They might be someone like you in uni, or it might be somebody working an office job, or they're not doing as my job might be shorter. It's maybe only 9 till 2 o'clock, but in that period, I'm getting up early in the morning when it's freezing cold. I'm needing to get in my car, come into training, get my breakfast. I'm out to train, back in for the gym, and then I'm home. And you're doing that more or less every day, constant.
Yeah. How do you even create a mentality for that? Because you're not going to be 100% every single day.
That's the thing.
Exhausted. So
yeah.
What drives you?
That's the thing I would say to you. Even sometimes I go through training, especially weeks when we're deep into the season, especially in the middle of the season, like that period I was talking about between maybe December to kind of March is probably the toughest period, and I would say, even when I train, I'm training and I'm doing the warm up and I'm sore, my legs are sore, I can feel the toll on my body, but it's one of those things. It's and I think it's a mentality I've kind of tried to grow from a young age, and something that's been kind of driven from home, is you know, whatever you're doing, you're working hard at it. And you know, I've always been determined that kind of way. Whenever I'm playing, like, I always want to play a 90 minutes. I never want to come off. Like, I always want to make sure I'm available to play, available to train. I never like being injured. But I think, you know, at the same time, I feel like that's the kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? That's the kind of baseline for footballers. That's what, like, the, you know,
Standard.
yeah, that's what the standard should be. It shouldn't be anything less than that, in my opinion. Like, you should want to train every day and you should want to play every game.
You have to want it.
Yeah, you do. You do have to want it. That's another thing as well. You need to have that drive and that motivation. And it's really hard to get that though every day. It is, because there's some days where you just want to stay in bed. Some days you don't want to get up and go into train.
No.
But again, it's a thing where you get in there and, you know, I'm making it sound really bad. It's not at all. You get in there and you see the boys and you have a laugh and you talk about the weekend and you talk about what you're watching on TV last night, what you're having for your dinner. Like, you're talking about what you're doing at the weekend, you know, like, and, you know, when it gets to that, you also forget that everybody's in the same boat. It's not only you who's feeling pain, everyone else is feeling pain. But it's that, like, togetherness. That's why I kind of love football. It's like, it brings people together. Everyone's in it together. You're fighting for the same thing. Especially, that's what I love about team sports. That's not just football. Like, everyone's fighting for each other as well as themselves, or wanting to win together. So, no, I would definitely say, in terms of that kind of motivation thing, I think it's just you're motivated to win, and that kind of starts, you know, at the start of the week on a Monday. You need to be thinking about on the Saturday. You can't wait to play on the Saturday to win, and then that kind of, you know, that process starts again the following week.
Yeah, well, it seems like you've got a good, you know, group of boys to play with as well. You know,
Definitely.
If you get a strong team, then
yeah. Again, like St Mirren, like, obviously I'm not there now, but you know, I have to say the changing room there is one of the best changing rooms, you know, you'll ever find across, like, the world. I'll put it up against any's in the world, you know, in terms of people just being nice boys, but people who respect everyone, people who like everyone for who they are, what their interests are, and, you know, just, again, being together. And that's why they've had so much success at Mirren. I don't know if you know much about kind of their success over the last 3 years, but they've got a really good manager there under Stephen Robinson. Again, I really enjoyed working for him. They've got a good management team in terms of kind of physios and sports scientists. All those guys are great. And then when it comes down to the players, like, you know, it's just like basic morals of football. You know, work hard, run hard, enjoy it, and just, you know, try your best to be the best you can on the day. And, you know, they've not got, like, the best facilities in the world compared to, you know, Celtic and Rangers and all that, but they make it work, and they have a humbleness about them. And, you know, they've caused definitely a few upsets over the last kind of few years, beating big teams and, you know, having a chance to qualify for Europe and stuff like that. So no, I'm really, like, proud to say I was able to be kind of a small part of that changing room, you know.
I'm really glad to hear that. So, you're in your prime right now, you know, great professional, playing really well. Have you thought about what you want to do afterwards, once you're a wee bit older and maybe football's not something you want to kind of do, you know, in your 90s, I suppose?
Again, like, because I'm still so young, only 19, what I said to you earlier about kind of football being I feel like it has to be an all or nothing mindset, in the sense that in your mind you have to want to make it work. Whatever, you know, wherever it is you're playing, you do whatever it is to try and get a contract somewhere. You know, you fight for what you want. So for me, football's always been my first option. It's never been anything else. I've never thought of doing anything else. It's just always been that, because that's been, again, like I said, that's been my dream. That's what I've wanted to do as a young kid. So I've done everything in my power up to this point to try and make that possible. And like I say, like, I feel like if you start to navigate towards other professions and other jobs, it starts to tell me in my mind that I'm not fully focused on my tasks at hand in football. Like, whether that's me, you know, not enjoying it or not focusing enough. Like, for some reason I'm thinking about other stuff when I should be focusing on my career at the minute. What I should be thinking about instead of that is, and what other people should think about is, what can I do to get better at football? Do I need to work with the sports scientist in terms of, do I need to do more sprints on the pitch? Do I need to do extras? extra long distance running, extra sprints? Do I need to do extra ball work, technical work? Do I need to do extra gym work? Do I need to, as simple as, do I need to switch my diet up? Do I need to eat more protein to get bigger? Do I need to... This is all the stuff that I need to think about if I want to compete at a high level, because, again, I feel like where I am at the minute, is like I would say it's an okay level of football, but people don't realise the difference between, we're talking like, if we're talking Champions League and these guys are different level athletes. These guys have been born with a gift and are, these are just the best athletes in the world. They're physically, brilliant, really good technical footballers. They're doing everything off the pitch properly, like I mentioned to you earlier. They're getting enough sleep, getting the recovery in with their nutrition. They're not going out at the weekends partying all the time and drinking, and they're and that's why they're the best, and that's why a lot of people who are this age and have so much potential end up falling off, is because they end up not focusing on what's important, which is the football, and want to focus on other things.
Well, I guess it's just focusing about the here and now. And
yeah, definitely.
It sounds like you've got the mindset.
Well, that's what it's like for me. That's what I try and kind of focus on, is just like you just said it. You've hit the nail on the head. The here and now. Because again, like, I can't imagine myself doing another profession. And the thing is as well, like, football's so unpredictable. You can be anywhere at any time. Things can go so well so quickly, and things can just feel like they're crashing down so quickly as well. So you try and kind of, like I say, you just got to take it day by day in football. You can never think months ahead, years ahead. You just got to think, right, I'm going into training today, I want to be the best at training today. And if I'm not, I want to be the best at training the next day. And then when it comes to a game, you have a good game, brilliant. You need to try and continue that form into the next game. If you don't, why did it not go well? Analyse it. Maybe watch the game back. What did I do wrong? What did I do well? And make sure your mind's ready for the next game, because that performance isn't going to happen again.
I think it's also important is you don't want to focus on the lows, and you don't want to focus too much on the highs. You get the low points, your losses, but you also get your highs, like with your wins and stuff.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Do you know what, mate? It's funny you say that. There actually is a saying like that. You've probably heard it before, but especially in football, you can never get too high in the highs and never get too low on the lows, because that's what I said. That's literally what we've just been discussing. Like, football changes so quickly. It changes like that because, 1 week you're beating a team 5-0, everyone has a great game, everything's great, life's great. Whereas you come and you're playing an away game the next week, you get beat 3-0, nobody plays well, including yourself, and at that point you feel like, oh my god, life's so bad, the world's just ended. Like, it's not, but you and the team needs to kind of look at it and go, right, why did things go wrong today? And I know that's what coaches are for. That's what coaches will do. They'll kind of look at it, and it might be something to do with, I don't like kind of trying to blame coaches for the way, teams are playing. You see that a lot in football now. There's so many managers that get sacked these days after such little time, and it's like, well, understand that the board of, teams have to kind of make those decisions, but at the same time, it's the players on the pitch that are,
the focus.
Yeah, there's players on the pitch that are winning you football games, or losing you football games. You can't tell me that Pep Guardiola, for example, has been such a successful manager over the last how many years because he's not had, unbelievable players on his team, Don't get me wrong, Pep's a great manager, but, like, the players at Man City have been the best for so many years, and that's why,
I think we're kind of almost coming to the end here. What's advice would you give to kind of young guys in academies, and how would you tell them just to keep going, stick with football? What would you tell them?
I would definitely say if they're in a position where, they're not going to play for the first team, I would definitely say they need to try and find football elsewhere, in terms of maybe going out for a loan or joining another team, or if they're still eligible to play for the younger age groups, I would say play for them. Because that's the most important thing for young players. They have to actually play football, because there's too many players, and again, I've been in that situation where there's a period of time where you're not playing any games because you're maybe training with the first team and they maybe need you for the squad, but you're not actually getting any minutes for them. So week by week goes by and you're losing, match fitness, and And that's the main thing I would definitely say is definitely do whatever you can to try and play men's football, get that experience under your belt, and then when you come back, you come back 20 games better off, 30 games better off than you were at the start. I would say that, and I would also say, like, if it comes to a point where, you know, players feel like they want to just chuck it, like, just don't give up on it, because, like I say, football changes so quickly. Like, even I never expected to. When I was younger, if me and you had this conversation 5 years ago, right, and you had said to me, you're going to go and play professional football, you're going to play international football for your age group, I probably would have laughed in your face.
I would have laughed too.
Genuinely. The two of us would be sitting there chuckling at each other. But, like, I just had a good mindset and I just worked really hard at it in school, and then out of school I just kept working away, chipping away in the gym, on the pitch, and I'm not anything. I wouldn't call myself anything special because, again, like I said to you before, the level of football I play at is like an okay level. But it just proves anyone can do that, and that's not just football. That's in any sport. If anyone puts their mind to anything, because I believe it's 90% mind, 10% body, whatever you want to call it. It's all in your mind, because the mind's such a strong place, and it can be quite a scary place at times for people, as you'll know. But, like, if you can get it right in your mind, it's like, right, this is my dream, I'm not giving up on it. I'm going to do what I can to keep putting in the work, putting in the hours. I'll do extras if I need to. I'll get there earlier. I'll be the first one there. I'll be the last one to leave. Like, there's no reason why a person like that can't go and, play professional football at a good level, in my opinion.
Well, that was excellent to have you on, Gallagher.
Oh, thanks very much. It's a pleasure.
I'll understand a wee bit more about what makes you want to play football.
Yeah, definitely.
So, that brings us to the end of our episode today. We learned a wee bit more about Gallagher here, and we explored what it's like being a young footballer in different football academies and the struggles that brings too. We'll see you in the next episode, hopefully, and thank you again for watching and listening, I guess. Okay, we'll see you soon, alright?